Hey there, this is Derek from Pacific Coast Auto in Japan, and we're taking a look at a Toyota Altezza. This one here, rear-wheel drive, 6-speed manual transmission with a 2-liter Beams 3SGE engine that puts out 210 horsepower with variable valve timing and a lift. And we'll take a look at the car that we bought from auction. We're going to be exporting this one over to Canada. Has just over 100,000 kilometers on it. You can see 101,344 kilometers. Give it a little rev for you. And engine off. So overall the condition of it is good. The interior needs this clean. It has a heavy smell of cigarettes inside and is quite dirty. The exterior, quite nice, spare for a couple of things like a little bit of paint peeling on the roof. And yeah, Altezzas, fantastic car. It's one of my favorites. These 210 horsepower versions of the Beam engine is known as the Gray Top. It's the final version of the 3S engine, which debuted, I believe, in 1985 in Japan and 86 in North America in the Camry. And it's kind of a racing engine and kind of a Camry engine. It's known to be extremely reliable. And I guess with an engine, it's the head that matters more than anything else. And of course, it's not a Camry head on this one. It's a nice flowing, great stock exhaust, nice large intake, and pretty common as race engines here in Japan for amateur racing, I would say. Altezza's great cars. 4 doors, room for a small family. Yeah. Okay, so just hook this up, kind of a weird hood prop, but there we go. And say goodbye to the engine. I will say the oil and the coolant both looked fine. You probably want to get those changed though when the car lands. And then part of the intake plenum that you don't absolutely need is missing. A lot of people are going to convert over to an aftermarket intake on a car like this though. And maybe an aftermarket hood. Geez, that's a heavy hood. Okay, so as manual transmission cars go, they're all going away. Same with the rear-wheel drive cars. So to have both of them in this one car and be relatively lightweight, I think they're somewhere around 1,200 kilos. Good combination. Okay, so 2001 Altezza, and I'm just going to translate this for you. It's the auction inspection sheet. RS200 Z Edition. The Z Edition, there were times where I knew everything that I needed to know, but it has since gone away. I know you get this bumper, which is a little bit different from the regular Altezza. I think the Z Edition gets an additional 10 horsepower over the regular 200, but I'm not entirely sure on that, so you'll have to look it up, and my apologies. Auction grade 3.5 interior C aftermarket wheels. They're Wedge Sports. Their 3 wheels are in 7 out of 10 condition, and this wheel is in 5 out of 10 condition, with some spoke scratches and some rim scratches. The rest of the problems are peeling paint on all 4 of the wheels, and they are quite a nice wheel, I would say. They go with the car pretty well. Also, the last owner, or somebody, I'm assuming it was the last owner, painted the calipers red as well as some parts on the disc brakes. Okay, lowered suspension, they say. Let's see if we can peek in there. I am doing peeking. I'm not really seeing what I want to see. They are double wishbones on the front. That's awesome. It gives you better handling, especially when you're cornering quickly. And the rear looks like it's not adjustable suspension if it is aftermarket. It kind of looks like aftermarket height. Also, the front fenders have been rolled a little bit, meaning the inside metal has been pinched up to give it a little bit more clearance for the wheels so that they don't rub on heavy cornering. The rears haven't been rolled, and the fronts have only been rolled about a 2 or 3 out of 10 in terms of how heavy the rolling can get. Power window switch, 1 part missing. I've never seen that before on an Altezza or on many other cars. Maybe a few here and there, but not on the Altezza. Steering wheel peeling, yeah, it's kind of bad. Seat wear, in my opinion, that's not so bad. Interior stained and dirty. Underside scratched and dented. Aftermarket tail lights, they actually don't fit very well. Wheels scratched, body has some paint fade on it, paint peeling on the roof. W2 here, U2 here, W2 and W2. The U2 is this section here. You see how the bumper doesn't quite fit there, and there's a dent on the fender there. Also, the fender to the hood don't align exactly right, so it might have moved the bracket a little bit when they dented that in. Okay, now I'll take you for a once around, and then I'm going to show you some of the damages on it. The Altezza is kind of a smaller car than you would think in videos. It's Honda Civic sized. I guess it kind of would be a competitor to the Civic. The Civics, the fastest ones were somewhere around 170 horsepower. So this one's a little bit higher power than the Civics. What else would this compete with? It was a Lexus in North America, the IS300, and would come with a 2JZ engine, which is kind of funny because the Beam's 3S is a better engine. If you did a drag race with this car, which is 200 horsepower, 4-cylinder, and then compare it to the Lexus, which had the 2JZ 6-cylinder 3-liter engine, this would actually be faster because 210 horsepower versus 220, I think the 2J non-turbo had. And then this one has the 6-speed manual, whereas the 2J Lexus you could get with a manual. It only had a 5-speed in it. So I've seen drag races of stock versus stock, and these ones will win just by a little bit, but it is a win. Front bumper here has been repainted DIY style with a color match spray paint. You can notice it because the finish isn't the exact same as the rest of the car. Headlights also are the black inside headlights. There are black or silver inside versions. And then there's some sort of a coating on top that has an orange peel effect. I think it's like a UV coating to make sure that it doesn't fade to yellow. Okay, Altezza. Cool. It's funny that the Altezza car doesn't have the stock Altezza headlights. I'm sorry, not headlights, taillights. That's what I meant to say. Taillights. Hood. Yes, it's been repainted. It's not so bad. This fender hasn't been repainted, oddly, because it is the one that had the damage on it. And then kind of the rest of the car has been repainted. Side panels are good. Paint quality is fairly good. I would say as far as aftermarket in Japan goes, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Here you can see the aftermarket taillights. I like the style of them. I do like the look of the standard Altezza lights, which have the chrome surround and then the red dot in the middle. They were kind of one of the first to do it, and then in the early 2000s, everyone else wanted that for their aftermarket taillights, so it became a bit of a thing. This is the stock exhaust, but you need to have a nice sporty exhaust to get that 210 horsepower out of a 2-liter, which is something even today you don't see too often in engines. Unless you go to like a Porsche 911 engine, you're not really seeing too many over 100 horsepower per liter. You do in that car, 1.6 liter, 175 horsepower. If you know what that is, then you're cool, like me. We can be on the cool team. Okay, so it looks like it doesn't fit right here. And this is on both sides. I think it's just a poor shape of the tail light. Like the fitment of it. We'll come over here, and it sticks out a little bit. Okay, we also have some fade on the rear wing. This is the original rear wing for the Z edition. I wonder if the Z edition would be called the GR Altezza nowadays. It is better. It's not an awful lot better. Regular Altezzas are still awesome too. Okay, this is all good. That's probably enough of the exterior. Oh, I'll show you the paint peeling on the roof here. And then there's fade basically all over the roof in different levels. Okay, door mirrors are also faded. The about equivalent amount of fade on the on both sides. Altezzas are small cars, but you do get 4 doors, which is nice. They never made a 2-door version of it. It's about the same size as a Evo or an Impreza. Seats in it are fair, nothing special. This one's really dirty, as you can see. Not a lot of room in the back. Currently the seat is in the full back position, leaving me with not much room underneath for feet, and then basically no room here. You do get some cup holders that have someone's cigarette ashes in them. Yes, a heavy smell of cigarettes in here. If you want to get cigarettes out of the car, you need to ozone it. It's a machine that people will do. Costs you about $150 probably, and they leave it for like 3 or 6 hours or something to get the smell out. You also need to extract all your carpets too. Okay, the 6-speed manual, fantastic. It feels good to shift. The clutch, it's a dual mass clutch in this from factory. If you are not a clutch expert, then it helps you become a clutch expert. Also faded handles, all 4 of them. If you like the feeling of a clutch that is more communicative, you probably won't like the dual mass. You can, in the aftermarket, go to a single mass. Okay. There's a place to put skis through, and it hasn't been closed properly. So when you get the car, you have to tuck everything in properly. But you have to climb in the trunk in order to do that, which is a little bit of a hassle. Underneath, no sign of rust. There's a space saver rear tire, and then somebody left a belt in here, like a serpentine belt. Okay, and the front seat. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of these seats. I've said it before. They are fine. The headrest is on backwards there. That's funny. The seats are fine. They're nothing special. They do have adjustment for the lower section, back and front. I find this section isn't long enough for me, and I find it a little bit hard to get the setting that I want in the seats. Okay, now if it is your car, you do get used to those kinds of things. I'm being a little bit extra picky because that's all I do is check cars and complain about them on the internet. Okay, 3 pedals, making this an incredibly fun car to drive. I gotta say, automatics, it has to be a very special automatic to be fun, in my opinion. Even if it's a slow manual transmission, I'm gonna have more fun with that. I'm not gonna race anybody. I'm doing it for my own pleasure. So lots of peeling on the steering wheel. If it were my car, I'd try to get a replacement for this. Gauge set looks a little bit neat. It's kind of got a fighter pilot cockpit thing going on. Extra gauges inside the gauges, but none of those gauges are like aftermarket-y ones. They're just your regular temperature and oil pressure. Okay. AC works. Have a little bit of damage in here. And yes, that smell. Aftermarket double DIN Navi unit. Some damage on the shift knob. And here on the e-brake boot and the e-brake handle. Cup holders here for all your JDM coffee needs. Actually, it's too big for the JDM coffee. This is a 12 ounce / 355 mil. And somebody's tissue, that is your souvenir from Japan. The cars come from auction in all states of cleanliness and is up to you to clean them up when you get them. Actually, because it's going to Canada, the car has to be cleaned. So part of it will be cleaned for like soil purposes, but it's not going to come clean. It's just clean for shipping clean. Okay. So lightweight, rear wheel drive, 4-cylinder, as good as a Honda Civic. I am a Honda guy, but I'm also a Toyota guy. Hard to say. Cool car though. I really very much enjoy these. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and have a nice day.